I admit I was wrong. I had great aspirations and intentions, but I was wrong. Yeah. Well, what's up guys? This is Daniel from Arms Family Homestead, and as you can see, I'm sitting out in the high tunnel today. It's just one of those dreary, nasty, cold days here in Oklahoma. Kind of drizzly, rainy, misty, just overcast skies like we're gonna have probably for the next week. But I couldn't resist myself. I had to get out here in the greenhouse, high tunnel, whatever you want to call it, and do some gardening, because after all, that's why I built this thing. I wanted a place to get inside and grow food all year long, have the ability to grow food all year long, whether I was actually capable of it or not. Yeah, so out here getting my hands dirty. And I'll get into why I was wrong in just a little bit. I'll explain more about that. But first, I mean, it's an exciting day. So every year, if you're a gardener, every year you get excited when those seed catalogs start rolling in. I know it's only February. Let me rephrase that. I know it's only February, but it's time to start planning for gardening season. It is time. It's here. I know a lot of people are going to be a little later than some, but planning time for your garden is here, and that means seeds. I go a little bit overboard on seeds. This is just one order. I'll probably be placing several more orders, but so I order most of my seeds from Luke, the MI Gardener. If you're not familiar with Luke, you need to go check out his YouTube channel. Luke is an amazing gardener and has a website called migardener.com. Obviously he's in Michigan, and last year Luke actually paid to fly myself, my wife, and Houston out to his grand opening because he wanted Houston to be on site for the grand opening of his seed store. So like I said, I buy MI Gardener seeds. They're 99 cents a pack, and if you use coupon code ARMS10, you'll save an extra 10%. So you can get them for 90 cents a pack. So I placed an order the other day for most of my cool season crops. So things like hailstone radish. You've got to try hailstone radishes. They're a little small white radish. Oh, they're delicious. I'm not gonna go over all of this in great detail, but beets, sugar snap peas, kale, watermelon radishes. Oh, that is one. If you've never grown a watermelon radish, you're missing out. Look them up. They're awesome. Giant noble spinach, viroflay spinach. I've never heard of that one, never grown that one. We're gonna try it. Fort Hook giant Swiss chard. I love me some Swiss chard. All kinds of carrots, because Houston loves to grow carrots, and I like to keep that boy interested. So as you can see, I got out here, couldn't resist, got the soil block maker out, made up let's see, 3 trays of soil blocks, planted a tray of spinach, half a tray of Swiss chard, half a tray of collard greens, and half a tray of 2 varieties of kale. So it's a little early, but I really need to get some things started because having this high tunnel allows me to get a jump start on gardening season. And the chickens don't like me talking, apparently. Laying hens over there just as bad as Bear, I guess. So what was I saying when I said I was wrong and I have to admit it? What was I talking about? So for several years, it was a dream or a goal or maybe just a hope of mine to be able to someday build a greenhouse, a high tunnel like this. This is actually a lot bigger than what I thought I could do, but it was one of those things that I just kind of dreamed of for a long time. I pretty much just watched every YouTube video on how to build a high tunnel, how to build your own DIY, low cost and all that, and then got lucky with the NRCS program and was able to build this 24 by 48 foot high tunnel. And if you guys aren't familiar with that process, I'll leave a link to a playlist, some very old videos of mine. Go easy on me. But that's how we got it built, was a program through the NRCS. It's a cost share program. So when you apply with the NRCS and get funded for a grant, you have a 3-year contract and you have to do certain things their way for 3 years, like grow directly in the soil. So I have raised beds, but there's no bottom. You can't put just a whole bunch of benches in here and grow like nursery plants, or you can't fill it full of hanging baskets and sell those. You have to grow food in the soil. It's a soil conservation grant. So that's 3 years. Well, guess what? We're at that 3-year mark. This thing is officially mine. It's not necessarily under all the limitations of the NRCS program anymore, which was not that restricting, guys. I promise you, it's not like they came out here and kept an eye on what I was doing, but there was that possibility, so I had to follow their rules. Now, we've reached the end of our 3 years, and I'm free to do what I want to with this thing. So that still doesn't answer the question of, what was I wrong about? Well, my thought process was, when I built this thing, there's gonna be like millions of people come flocking in to watch every greenhouse video I've got, because I watched guys like Bobby, MHP Gardener. He's not posting videos anymore, but he was one of my gardening mentors, and he had a big greenhouse. He had like tons of greenhouse videos, and everybody watched it. I thought, man, I'll build me a greenhouse and we'll have 1 million subscribers in no time, and blah, 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 blah. Because I thought there were a lot of people that would be interested in this, a high tunnel, a big greenhouse to grow in. And there's been quite a few, don't get me wrong. I've actually been really fortunate enough to help 8 or 10 different people get funded for one of these, and that has been really cool. But I know that most people, or I've learned that most people aren't interested in gardening on this kind of scale. Most of you want to garden on a very small scale, and that's what I was wrong about. A lot of people have a big garden, but the vast majority of my audience are trying to do things small, on a small scale. And I think that's basically kind of going to sum up one of my 2019 goals for my gardening videos on YouTube. Yes, I'm still going to grow a garden, but for 2019, my goal is to start doing things small scale, teaching you guys how to, grow on a smaller scale, because you may only have, room for some raised beds just off your back porch, or some container gardens on your patio. So I'm kind of shifting and working, trying to do some things different this year to teach you guys that you can still grow food without this. You don't need this. This is cool. I love this. I have so much fun out here. But this isn't necessary. You don't have to have something like this to grow at least a portion of your own food. So one of my 2019 goals is to start doing things to teach you guys ways of doing other things to grow on a small scale and still produce a ton of your own food. So let's get into today's topic of what the heck are these buckets for back here? What are these tubs all about? So what I'm gonna teach you today, or show you today, isn't something that I came up with. It's not a process that I invented. This whole process came from one of my greatest gardening mentors, and actually the man that built my high tunnel, Leon Sloan in Kingston, Oklahoma. Leon has been growing in high tunnels and growing under plastic for over 50 years. I actually talked Leon into starting his own gardening channel last year. He hasn't posted a ton of videos, but it's called Gardening with Leon, and I'll leave a link to his channel in the description box down below, and I'll put a card up here. So Leon's huge thing is these self-wicking buckets, to where you can plant food and not be out there babysitting it every single day. So what a lot of people do when they want to grow in a large container like this, so these are actually just cattle molasses tubs, big empty tub that you can get. If you have anybody around you that grows, or that has a ranch and has cattle, they're gonna have molasses tubs more than likely. So a lot of people, including myself several years ago, just didn't know, uninformed. They start off, they drill 4 or 5 holes in the bottom of this thing, fill the tub up with soil, throw it out on their garden, plant seeds in it, and try to grow food. Well, the biggest problem there is just like any house plant you have at home. When they come in a little container and you fill it up, and then all the water runs out the bottom, you may pour a couple gallons in the top, almost all of it's gonna run out the bottom. Well, in the summertime, you'd have to water those things every single day just to keep them alive. Well, Leon's built a system, and I'll leave a link to a video on his channel. Like I said, this is his, not my idea, but I'm gonna give you the basic concept. Leon's really good at using repurposed materials and finding ways to do things cheap, and I love that. That's awesome. And I'm probably going to be building several of these, put maybe 10 or 12 of these in my high tunnel this year because they're amazing. I grew a fig plant in one of these self-wicking buckets last year, and it's phenomenal. So basically what Leon does, he takes a cattle tub like this, and you're going to measure up from the bottom 5 inches and drill a hole. You're going to drill a hole. That's one drain hole. That's the only drain in this whole system. And then he's got a couple different ways of doing this, but this was the way he taught me. He takes 2 pieces of 6-inch drain pipe. This is just black drain pipe like you would use on a French drain system. You can buy them at most box stores, most large hardware box stores, Home Depot, Lowe's. There's 2 of them, 6 inches long, and he just lays them in the bottom here. That's it. Lay two pieces of pipe in there. Now he's also done this with 1 gallon metal cans. So he went to a school, picked up a ton of 1 gallon metal, like coffee cans or vegetable cans from the schools, and laid those in there, drilled some holes in them. And what he's doing is he's creating an air pocket. So when you fill the bottom of this tub up with water, if you don't have this air system in here for the roots to air prune to, you'll drown your plants. So you have that one hole 5 inches up from the bottom, and your pipe are 6 inches tall, so that creates a little bit of airspace in there. Then Leon takes landscape fabric and puts in there. This is just like ground cover landscape fabric, and he recommends commercial landscape fabric and not like what you can buy at Walmart because that's homeowner grade. And you just stuff this in and around those pipe. So when you come in here and you fill this up with soil, you actually poke down around the sides of those pipe where you have a wick. So what that does, when this bottom of this landscape fabric goes down beside the pipe, part of this will sit in the water itself, and that allows it to wick up. It'd be no different. Perfect example is take a paper towel and just tear one off and barely touch it down in the water, and as that paper towel gets wet, water will climb up that like a wick. Well, your soil here with this landscape fabric separating the soil from the water, it gets wet, it soaks in around those pipe in the bottom of that, and it wicks that moisture up. Now, one thing that Leon says is very important, do not just use garden soil. I'm using compost that I've made myself, but he recommends using a good potting mix. You need something with a lot of organic material that's not going to be compacted and tight. Because if you just use garden soil, it has a hard time wicking the water up because it'll compact on you and get really heavy and dense. You need something light and airy and fluffy. And then the way you water this is you take a piece of PVC pipe. This is 1-inch PVC pipe. It's very important that you cut it on an angle. And you're gonna slide this down next to that pipe, or next to those pipe, on the outside of the landscape fabric. So let me show you one that's already completed here. So here's one that I've already got finished. My PVC pipe goes inside the tote, or inside the tub, but I cut a hole in my landscape fabric and just slid that pipe down in that hole all the way to the bottom, okay? So then I can fill this from right here, and when I fertilize it and things, basically I'm going to use a liquid fertilizer mixed with my water. Every time I water, I'll water straight here. That sends the water straight down to the bottom of the tub, and you just fill it up until the water runs out of your one little wheat pole here. And last summer when it was really hot, I had that fig tree planted in there, and I really only had to water that thing about twice a week. And I had a comparison, put one next to it with just a regular tub with holes drilled in the bottom, no wicking system, and it would literally dry out every single day. So like I said, this is just a system that Leon's come up with that I really like. I've seen him grow hundreds of plants in these in his greenhouses. I've gone down and videoed several tours there. These tubs absolutely work amazingly, and it allows you to grow food in a very controlled environment and not have to babysit it every single day. Because we all know as gardeners, we want to grow more food, but there's two things that kind of inhibit how much food we can grow, and that's money and time. So Leon's really good at using repurposed materials and finding ways to save you time so you're not having to babysit these things every day. So anyways, like I said, go check out Leon's channel. I'll leave a link to a video where he talks about these in much more detail than I do. Go watch all of his videos. I'm going to try my best to get him to start producing some videos this year. He planted hundreds of tomato plants in his high tunnels in Kingston, Oklahoma. In Oklahoma in February. He already has tomatoes in the ground with no heat. It's amazing. It's crazy. We're going to have to take Houston and go do a tour of his tunnels real soon. We usually go every year a couple times and check out what he's got going on. But anyways, check out these tubs. Let me know what you think if you've ever tried anything similar to this. If you don't have these big tubs, you can actually do it with 5-gallon buckets. And instead of using those pipe, take a small, like a 6-inch pot that you get like at a nursery if you go buy flowers in a pot. Flip it upside down, put a little landscape fabric over it, punch soil all the way around it, or, you know, potting mix, compost, whatever. Do the same thing with a 5-gallon bucket. You can grow a pepper plant in a 5-gallon bucket, water it twice a week, you're good to go. So anyways, guys, I hope that helps. Hope you learned something. Like I said, go check out Leon's channel. And if you're in the market for buying seeds, go check out Luke over at MI Gardener. Guy has some amazing seeds, great quality, great guy, great YouTube channel also. So trying to help promote a few people, trying to help spread the word. Spring is almost here, gardening season's here, it's time to get growing. So guys, hope that inspires you to grow a little bit of food this year. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed it. Y'all have a great day, and as always, we'll see you on the next video.